I want to take a second and tell you about the biggest mistake that we've ever made when it came to traveling early on in our relationship. So we got 4 kids. We do a lot of travel for work, a lot of travel together, a lot of travel with the kids. And the biggest mistake we made was not knowing the difference between a family vacation or a family trip and a vacation. So I'm even screwing it up as I'm talking about. What does that mean to you, family trip and a vacation?
Well, just even starting with entrepreneurship, I think it's really hard to take time off and to really feel like you're getting away. So getting away for us in the early days was like, well, that's a win, right? We're not in the office. We're not in our hometown. We're winning. And yet we would come home and be exhausted.
Yep.
And ticked off that we would come back from being away, spending a lot of money, and feeling really tired because we thought we went on vacation. And we're like, shouldn't we feel rested?
And the reality is, it wasn't a vacation usually. It was usually one of 2 things. It was either a family trip, which again feels terrible. Like take the kids to Disney World or something. You're like, this should be great. And you come back exhausted. Because it wasn't a vacation, it was a family trip. Or from time to time, we would take work trips. In fact, there would be times we'd take work trips. We would both be speaking maybe at a conference. We'd get there. We'd both feel a little eggshelly, stressed. I'm stressed. I'm usually more stressed than you are. Maybe I'd be speaking on day 2 and you'd be speaking on day 3, and then we flew out on day 4. So the reality is, it wasn't until after we were both done speaking that some of the stress would get reduced a bit. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a reality of look at your calendar and color code it a little bit. Like, what is the travel that you're doing next? Would you consider this a vacation? Would you consider this a work trip? Would you consider this a family trip? They all have different energies.
And having some intention as you're going into planning as to, hey, what does your couple need right now? Does your family need a family trip? Does your couple need time away? Just the 2 of you? A lot of times, it's not even that it needs to be some 10-day magical Tahitian vacation. A lot of times it's just a, hey, can we do a 2-night staycation right where we are, away from home, away from the kids? And a lot of times that's enough to get back.
And depending on the age of the kids, we're traveling right now. We're down in Florida, and luckily our kids are now at the age that even though it's a family trip, you can almost take a little vacation in the middle of a family trip, right? Or I guess right now we're doing a little bit of a work day in the middle of a family trip. And the reality is that it's all good. And all this fits inside of this idea of like, what is the cadence that you have inside of your relationship? How as a couple, where do we want to be spending our time? Some of the biggest disagreements that would happen between us would be when we thought we were planning one type of travel, and it turns out that we planned something different.
And part of it is just, did we verbalize it to one another and make it clear between us what the intention was and what we wanted to have happen? Because if my expectations were, well, we're going to rest and this is going to be blissful, and you're like, hey, we're going to go and we're hiking mountains every day and we're doing...
That does sound blissful. So hey, we'd love to hear from you. What does travel look like for you, and what are the best tips that you've learned over the years as you've navigated traveling together? What has worked for your couple and for your family? We'd love to hear. Take care.